Hi, I'm Bryan with Pioneer Builders. Today, we're going to finally get power installed. It's a construction day. Let me show you what it took to get here, and we'll see if we can find some of the work while they do the installation. Let's get into it. For a little bit of background, this site is about 7 acres and it was never actually developed, so we've had to do a lot of utility work. You can see here what we have is our temporary power pole, and in the ground, we actually have conduit that runs. In this case, it's a 3-inch conduit because this is technically the secondary line. Down the hill here is where we end up setting the transformer. And then from the transformer, it goes all the way down the street to a pole. That's got, I believe, 2-inch conduit, and that's for the primary line. In each of the conduits, you have pull rope. You have to have sand for the utility company to be able to backfill over that portion of the cable that's not actually sleeved in the conduit. What we're going to end up having is the cable that's going to come through will be large enough for the house itself. For temporary construction purposes, though, we don't need that much. We'll end up basically having a 100 amp panel. We'll have a 200 amp panel later at the house itself. So I'm just coming down the hill here. Let me meet you where the transformer pit is. All right, we're coming down to the transformer pit, and we'll see if I can get my camera to be able to show that to you. So it's a pretty big pit. What they have is basically a base in order to support that transformer that's going to come in. You can see the sand right here, and let me come down into the pit here. So if I turn this, you can see this conduit runs up the hill up there, and you can see the pull rope that's in there. I think they added this little piece here. There's really a lot of regulations and things when it comes to the labor and industries. They kind of govern electrical here in Washington State, but then the power utility has their requirements, and they subcontract to a company. So there's a lot of little pieces in here. Now, going to the street, see if we can see this here. I got to move out of the way. Down here is the conduit that goes to the street. There's rope that goes through there. Incidentally, let me get out of the pit. We have had a lot of security issues on this. We actually caught some guys stealing, trespassing. It's just frustrating. They took the pull rope out of there. So then my brother-in-law had to come and put it back in. All right, and where I had been was up there. Okay. Now as we come down to the street, try to get you oriented here. We're going from overhead to underground. This is the pole that's really close to us, but when you look at the top, it's basically too full of other things. So we have to come all the way down there. Trenching's already done, but today is the day for the power to get done, and that is where the cable's going to come in. I look forward to seeing what it actually looks like at the top of the pole. Let me show you the pit down there too. So basically 3 pits, 1 at the house, 1 intermediate, and then 1 here at the street. And let's take a peek at that. What we have here is our pit, and it was nice. Let's see, if you take a look, it's a pretty steep slope down there. So the utility was reasonable with us for how this pit turned out. We wanted to make sure that we didn't have any blowouts or things like that. All right, so I'm down here in this pit, and you can see now where the cable will go, where the conduit meets up, and then the the pull rope itself is tied around here, and then our little fencing and some more sand. If you look up above me where the pole is, there's not a whole lot going on there. So from the utility side, line voltage should be up top with low voltage below. Oh, we have a bus going. Really hoping that that was our rig for the utility company. Anyway, we're pretty much there. The excavating contractor brought in some more gravel. There was some settling down here, so they're going to take care of that. And there's just a lot of little sequencing. It has been, oh man, maybe 2 years since this process started, where I first submitted some of the paperwork to the utility. So just be prepared if you're going to be doing this type of work. Depending on where you're at, it can take a long time. I worked with a brand new person, and so there was just lessons I think that he needed to learn. And thankfully, I guess one last thing while I'm just walking and talking here, we are so cordless now. The guys have been able to frame that whole house. They haven't used any gas-fired generator or propane. It's all been electrical. Champion is who they've been using. Of course, they can charge off-site for their tools and that kind of a thing. So pretty interesting how it's all shaken out, but I really cannot wait to get power. Now it's kind of a hurry up and wait. Okay, got the guys on site. The cable that they're running right now is for the primary. This is the secondary, so that's going to end up running up the hill. And then here is the transformer. And basically they connect everything up in there. I'm going to take some footage. I've never gotten to see a vault at this stage. Knowing where the knockouts are is pretty cool. Hope you enjoy it too. Here's the lubrication that they're using. Obviously friction comes into play. Polywater plus silicone type NN. You can see some of that right there at the conduit. Okay, I'm down here at the pole and you can see that they've gotten their conduit partially stubbed up. And so now the guys can backfill, get that done. It's been a pretty nice, efficient operation, I have to say. And I unfortunately need to leave right now. Oh, there's the cable. I wanted to show you that too. So that'll run up to the top and before you know it, we're gonna be connected. Coming up to the pole, we basically had power here for just a couple of weeks. And I wanted to show you the 3 different locations where the guys were working. One other thing, I don't think I talked about this before, but sometimes depending on the utility work that you do, you have to get a traffic control plan. This shoulder was plenty wide. There isn't a whole lot of traffic here. Here, I'll go ahead and keep talking. We'll just go ahead and get out of the rig. Anyway, it was very simple. So we ended up saving some money. So if you're going to be doing this and you're doing work in the right-of-way, then that's when you might have to actually allot more in your budget depending on what the municipal requirements are. So this looks great. You can see that we're all backfilled, and as we come up the pole, we have these standoffs with that conduit that comes all the way up. It ties into our line voltage, and that's where the power is coming from. It's going down, and then it heads down that way. Let me meet you over where the transformer is. All right, let me just walk you right up here. So the power came in from down the street. A couple of buried utilities that we have. We've got water that's in here. We've got the conduit as far as getting cable at some point. But this is where they actually set the vault. And here's our transformer. So you got this special treat because you got to see this when it was excavated, when they actually placed this equipment. So the cable is coming down there, comes in here, and then it goes up the hill. Let's go ahead and head up there. And here we go. So you've got the same conduit, or rather the same cabling that brings power into here. This is a 100 amp service. This is all backfilled now, nice and safe. You can see the guys are actually running power. And then we've got our low voltage. Now, once all is said and done, we're gonna have to excavate this out in order to take that same cabling, and we'll have a meter base up on the wall here. They'll get it all connected up and it will limit the amount of re-excavation work. In fact, for our electrical utility, we're squared away here. There's some other things we have to do as far as the sewer, stormwater, but this was a massive scope of work to be able to square away. Thank you so much for watching. I absolutely love site work, civil utility work. And now this has made the job a lot easier for the guys to be able to build from. If you want to give me a follow on social media, I'm at Pioneer Builders Inc. I'm also on Build Show Network. I'm going to go ahead and drop that below so that you can watch some of the other long form content that I do. Thank you again so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Now go build something.